We all know data is important, but it's not as important as the answers it provides or the stories that it tells. Insights is a new experience we're adding to ArcGIS for exploratory and interactive analysis using maps, charts, and tables in a very easy-to-use, fast, and intuitive environment. Let's focus a little bit on crime data, specifically residential burglaries in the city of Philadelphia. Residents have reported that crime is actually up in the northern part of the city. However, our data tells us that burglaries are down this year. Let's ask Linda, our resident analyst, to dig into this problem a little bit deeper with Insights. Linda?
With Insights, we're introducing the concepts of workbook, pages, and cards. When you import your data, it's automatically defined as to the type of data that is. You visualize your data on the cards as either tables, charts, or maps. The legend allows you to interact directly with your data. You'll also notice that between the visualizations, everything else interacts. It's often through this interactivity that we can start to get new discoveries from our data. But let's get back to the question I was posed on the residential burglaries in Philadelphia. Let's explore to see if it's changes over time that's led to that discrepancy between what the public are reporting and what we're seeing from the overall statistics. As I drag my data, which is a temporal data, into a chart, it immediately gives me a timeline. Now we can see that in both years, the crime decreased just after February and then increased in the summer months, but the increase was significantly less in 2015. With the interactivity, you can see, as I click along the line, that the points are changing. But perhaps, because I have so many points in this data set, it's easier seen if I actually change the map type. Now you see, as I click along the patterns, I'm seeing that spatial, temporal changes in my data set. But we're not seeing a lot of changes across this, so clearly time isn't the thing that's explaining why we're having increased burglaries. So I'm going to start a new page and start a new analysis. Whenever we turn to any page, we can always add new data. So I'm going to add in some data that shows the districts, and then I want to aggregate those points to each one of my police districts so that I can study the more localized patterns of crime rather than the overall statistics. I'm going to select out just 2014. So I'm going to do a filter. And now, in order to do my spatial aggregation, I just need to drag my layer into the card and drop it. How easy have we made that? We always have an undo button, so I can do it again. To do your polygon overlay is as simple as overlaying your polygon. Throughout your analysis, we report statistics so that these visualizations are actually turned into answers to help you interpret it. So we can see, by clicking on any point, we can see the value, we can see it compared to the mean, so we can pick out those higher areas. And throughout the analysis, I also have the overall statistics reported to me on the back of the card. Any results that we have from any spatial analysis are, of course, returned, and I can then aggregate those, I can then visualize those. So if I want to see the total number of crimes by each district, I just drag that information into my card. I can always change the type of chart that I'm seeing at any time. If I repeat that analysis for both 2014 and 2015, you'll see by looking at the maps side by side together with the charts, we can immediately pick out the patterns. We can see that District 15 always has the highest number of crimes in both years. But here's the interesting pattern. In District 35, we see in 2014 has significantly lower numbers than 2015. So they have seen an increase in the number of burglaries. But we all know that totals don't always tell us the answer. Sometimes we need to normalize our data in order to take account of the population. So let's have a look at the difference between the total number of crimes and the rates. So let me take the rates, the total crimes, and now I can create a scatter plot that allows me to explore the relationship between those two fields. Do rates go up in the same way as the number of crimes? It looks like they do go up together, but if I add the statistics, we see it's quite a weak relationship. So rates allow me to take account of the population. So let me look at the percentage change in rates for each one of those districts. I'm going to do that on a graph. I'm also going to change my rates so that I can map those results as well. Now I have my rates on a map, and I also can see on this chart that I have 4 areas, so 4 different districts, that did indeed see an increase of crime. In particular, district number 35. So now I have the answer for my boss, but for me as an analyst, there's one really cool feature that I also want to share with you. Throughout my whole analysis, everything I've done has been recorded. It's created a model of my workflow. I've documented everything I've done. I can share that model with other people. They can change their input data and rerun that analysis. Art.
Thanks, Linda. That's great news. Now we have the answers that we need. We can now allocate resources to the right areas and solve the problem for our citizens. But as a public official, there's one last thing we need to do. We need to give this information to them. So, using the workbook that was shared by Linda, I can now go directly to Insights and generate some HTML code such that I can place this directly on our public website. And using this HTML code, I see quickly that the cards show up, the information is there for my public to see, and it can be either interactive or static images. Insights. It's a way to ask questions of your data, get the answers that you need, document the work along the way, and share the information with others. Now that you've seen a sneak peek of Insights, we hope that you're as excited about this work as we are. Thank you. Jack?
Good. Now, the amazing thing about Insights is that it's totally integrated with the ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS on-prem server. So when you make one of these web maps, the web map becomes a web map. So I can use it like embedded it, email it to somebody, share it. Somebody else could take the work, for example, that Linda did, that whole model diagram, and build on top of it. So this idea of sharing tradecraft, geospatial tradecraft across the web suddenly could accelerate our understanding.